Welcome to our weekly 3-Minute Therapy podcast. I'm Dr. Michael Edelstein, a clinical psychologist and author of the book 3-Minute Therapy. And I'm here with my co-host, Mick Berry, and we discuss matters related to rational emotive behavior therapy, REBT, which was the first cognitive behavior therapy devised by Albert Ellis in the 1950s. And we have this podcast weekly. We discuss all types of problems and issues related to REBT and related to emotional and behavioral disturbance. Mick, did you want to say anything or introduce yourself?
I just said I wanted to tell people that you fell down running, which explains your appearance, because some people might not have seen you announce that last week.
Right. Okay, good. Okay, and today we're going to be discussing REBT and sleep, and we have a special guest who specializes in what she calls deep sleep, and we'll hear more about that. And her name is Keisha Reynolds. And Keisha, do you want to tell us something about your practice with sleep?
Yes. Well, my name of my practice is 321 Deep Sleep Hypnotherapy, and
Oh,
I work with.
Keisha, you're covering your mouth with your hand.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's
Yeah.
321 Deep Sleep Hypnotherapy, and I work with a number of different issues, sleep being one of them. Mainly, it seems a lot of it seems to be, overactive, in terms of just overthinking and the mind, anxiety. So what I do is I help to relieve that anxiety, um, slowing down those continuing, thoughts that persist constantly, to be able to help people to be able to get the sleep that they need.
Okay, very good. Now, as you may know, and many of our viewers know, the way we help people uh, get over anxiety about sleeping is we help them identify their irrational beliefs, which tends to cause anxiety about sleeping. And usually those are in the form of demands, musts and shoulds, such as, I must fall asleep right now, and if I don't, it would be awful. Or I can't stand lying awake all night. Or I must not be tired, exhausted tomorrow. And a larger one, I must not have sleep problems. So as long as you put those demands on yourself, you'll tend to cause anxiety and it'll be harder to sleep. Mick, did you want to add anything to that?
Just that I was having, I don't know if I was having trouble sleeping this morning. I woke up at about 5:30 and thought, well, I'm not feeling tired. Okay, well, I guess I can be tired. Big deal. And then next thing I knew, it was 8:30. So it worked this morning, just not to freak out about not getting enough sleep.
Okay, great. So that's our approach, Keisha. And what are some of your approaches to help people with sleep?
Well, first, I just wanted to touch on when you brought up about kind of like what I must do. It really it kind of puts me almost in the mind of like perfectionism,
Right.
to a certain extent of, I like that all or nothing kind of way of thinking, and the way that I usually do things is I would reframe that and build in using imagery and hypnotic suggestions. So, for example, I would put in things like, you no longer demand perfection of yourself. You no longer, demand that you can't sleep. I will build in things like that, and building in, you are calm, you can sleep, you are allowing yourself to sleep. And then that kind of helps to counteract that all or nothing way of I must, and those types of words. That's how I would do it.
I see. And you find you have good success using that approach?
Yes, and actually, just to be honest with you, while both modalities, work really, really well together, I find that I also usually will partner with clinical psychologists or licensed clinical social workers, like psychotherapists, and kind of do it like a two-prong approach. I would come from a subconscious approach of really kind of drilling down on removing those ways of thinking. So, for example, like I must never fail. Okay, like you were saying, the irrational beliefs. I must never fail. I would then kind of come in and from a different perspective, while you would come in from that one, I would come in from it's okay to not be perfect, something like that, and then be able to kind of bring that from and drill that in more from the subconscious approach of it and work together from a two-prong approach.
Yeah, and it's okay not to be perfect. We would call that unconditional self-acceptance. You accept yourself as the imperfect human you are, whether you sleep well or you sleep poorly, you're still the same imperfect human and not a horrible person or a horrible failure.
Exactly, exactly. So that's how I do things. So it's more so the wording, the approach to it is just a little different, but being able to kind of come out on the other end with the same results, but working really in tandem together works very well.
Yeah. And we see it as more than just wording, but more the deep concepts behind the wording.
Yes,
So
yes.
you could say the right words, and often that won't help unless you change the concepts that there are no musts. There's nothing you have to do.
Right.
And that helps alleviate the worry and pressure on yourself to sleep. Mick?
I was going to say, Keisha, it's an interesting thing to think about. It's okay not to be perfect because the thing is, there is no other choice but to not be perfect. You
Yeah,
know?
right, because perfection doesn't exist. And to
Yeah,
feel that way, you're really setting yourself up for a really, really hard life to go. If you are constant, because now you're starting to get into comparing yourself now to other people. That's where
yeah.
that leads to.
Yeah,
And I would say perfection definitely does not exist when it comes to a whole person.
No,
I do think perfection can exist in terms of attempting to complete a task, but then it's a specific thing. Like let's say I have a math problem. I solve the math problem. 3 times 5 is 15. That's a perfect equation, but I still don't have to have a perfect equation. You know.
exactly. And even when solving that math problem, it's okay if you don't understand it in the beginning. You will understand it. You can understand it, even if you don't get it the first time around, you can. So I also kind of look at it that way as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So cool.
yeah. I'm Keisha, were you can say something else?
I was just going to say that I am one, just speaking from personal experience, I'm one who have frequently have thought that way, and have had to use self hypnosis to be able to get myself out of thinking that way. Of everything has to happen at a certain time, instead of being flexible with the time and being okay with where things are and that I'm in the right place where I need to be at this moment and at this time because I find, many times we feel like, okay, well, we should be here, we should be accomplished this in our lives already, and it's like, no, I'm in the right place where I need to be at the right time, and that's okay.
But does that lead to giving up? Because if I if I have sleep problems, for example, and I say, well, it's okay to have sleep problems, why would I try to uh, contact you and try to get over my sleep problems?
Well, sleep is a different thing. Sleep is something that we need. In fact, many things happen if we don't have good sleep. Mental decline. Later on in life, it can cause all types of problems. So sleep is one thing, but I'm talking more, I guess, in the sense of other issues. But yes, when regards to sleep, no, I would not suggest that you feel that way. Like it's okay not to get sleep. No, it's important to get sleep, but to remove those I must and I have to,
Right.
removing those words from from your mind and rewiring it to have some compassion for yourself.
Yeah, yeah. Compassion for yourself is very important. Mick, you can say something?
Well, I was just going to read a paragraph from a book I read recently. Harpo Speaks. Keisha, you're younger than Michael and me. Are you familiar with the Marx Brothers?
I am familiar with the Marx Brothers, but I haven't heard of Harpo Speaks. But
Yeah, he
I'm
wrote.
interested now.
Yeah, he wrote an autobiography, and it has one of the most profound paragraphs I've ever read, much less the opening paragraph. It's very short. I don't know whether my life has been a success or failure, but not having any anxiety about becoming one instead of the other and just taking things as they came along, I've had a lot of extra time to enjoy life.
I
Very
love
good.
that. I love
Isn't that
that.
great?
Yeah, I love that. Oh, wait a minute. You know what? Please, after this is over, please send that to me. I'm going to go on Audible. I'm going to download it and listen to it.
I'll email it to you.
Thank
Sure
you.
thing. Yeah, it's pretty funny because who would have ever thought that a Mark you get this kind of wisdom from a Marx brother,
Right.
particularly the one who never said anything on sleep.
Right.
Yeah.
Keisha, you have on your website the phrase helping people reach their full potential.
Yes. Yes.
So, in addition to the ways we've discussed, are there other ways you help people reach their full potential?
Well, I do hypnotherapy, but I also combine it, with coaching, as well. Many
You
times
combine it with what? I'm sorry, I missed that word.
with coaching. I
Oh,
combine it
coaching.
with
Yeah,
coaching. And
yeah.
also, too, I find that reaching the full potential, many times it's stuck in old programming, okay, of critical self-talk. So going in and rewiring and creating new neural pathways in the mind in order to kind of eliminate that critical self-talk. Because by doing that, you are able to help people to achieve, their desired outcome in life, be it manifestation work or abundance, prosperity, whatever it is, or perhaps they just want to be able to get out of their own way so they can go for that promotion, and, kind of be their best self in that regard. So that is, something else that I do in the way that I do it.
I'm intrigued by your email address, 321 Keisha at 321 deepsleephypnotherapy.com. And is there a difference between sleep that I get and deep sleep?
No, no, no. So, deep sleep. So, the how I came up to 321 deep sleep in terms of the name of it, because when you are it's the induction piece of it. When you are putting someone into hypnosis, you count down. Usually, it's like five, 4, 3, 2, 1, deep sleep. Okay. So I just shortened that and I just said 3, 2, 1, deep sleep. That's how you end up putting someone into the induction. And by the
I
way, I just want to say, for your listeners out there, um, should they have or decide they want to have hypnotherapy so that they're not afraid of it. Some people are a little bit nervous about it. One of the myths is that, first of all, when you are in hypnosis, you are not actually in a sleep. Okay. You're in a very relaxed state, yes, but you are not actually asleep. And so when you hear the hypnotherapist say deep sleep, that is a trigger to your subconscious, but you're not actually asleep. In fact, usually, you're kind of hyper aware, you're very relaxed, but you are aware of what's going on. So it's impossible for anybody to go unconscious when they are in hypnosis. I just kind of wanted to dispel that belief.
uh, yeah. And also, is it true that when someone is under hypnosis, if the hypnotist makes a suggestion to them that it's something that goes against their nature, they wouldn't do it? So the hypnosis can't say jump off the Golden Gate Bridge and they go jump
No,
off the Golden Gate Bridge.
no, that's not something anyone would do. And then also, there's some ethical ramifications that are around. There are certain things that, hypnotherapists well, I would say that I don't do and we shouldn't do. Just for example, I don't do anything in terms of regression, childhood regression, because things like that, especially you're looking at legalities in court cases, there have been times when they look and feel that, maybe a false memory has been implanted. So for that reason, there are some ethical, things here at play too. You just don't do things like that. And this is used in a clinical sense, so this is to be able to help people, not to cause them, any destruction or any pain. And any hypnotherapist out there who's doing that, seriously, God have mercy on your soul, for doing something like that to somebody.
Yeah. Do you also teach hypnosis, teach people to become hypnotherapists?
I don't teach them to become hypnotherapists, but I do teach them self hypnosis because I feel that it's not enough just for them to come to me. I mean, that's great. I like that. But I want to teach you to be able to help yourself. So usually the way the sessions are, right around the fourth or fifth session is typically when someone begins to feel that interchange, okay, with anywhere from 8 to 12 sessions for a full transformative experience. Now, the way I quicken that is when we are in hypnosis, I record the session. I do not record the beginning of the session where people are describing why they're coming to see me. But once I put together the hypnotic script with the imagery and hypnotic suggestions, and I'm going into induction and I'm repeating those suggestions, that's the piece of it that I record, and I send that audio to the client. And in between the time of them meeting me via Zoom, they are able to then listen to that recording. Okay, and I tell my clients to listen to it if they can 4 to 5 days out of the week. We all have lives, so that may not be possible, but at least a good 3 to 4 days out of the week. And what happens is by listening to that prior to bedtime or in the morning, it it doubles down what I've already said during the actual Zoom session. So what happens is you begin to see that turnaround when you incorporate the in recording around maybe about 3 sessions as opposed to 4 to 5. You start to kind of feel that change in about 3 sessions.
Very good. Um, and also, if people want to see you for help with sleep or meeting their potential, is it in-person sessions or remote sessions? How do you work with that?
Well, it depends on where you are. So I'm located on the East Coast. I'm located out of Philadelphia. So if there's anyone in the Philadelphia local area, I do have an office in the Center City area. I also make house calls as well, but mostly everybody wants to work remotely. So I work remotely.
You do. Okay.
hmm
So you can do hypnosis remotely.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And it works just as well remotely as it would in person.
Okay, very good. Uh, Keisha, do you want to remind people how they can get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So, a couple of ways. Actually, if you're going through my website, which is www.321deepsleep.com, and go to the three little bars there. I mean, you click on that, go down to contact, scroll down, and there's a place where you're able to put your information, any comments that you would like for me to know, and then send it over, and then I'll be able to get in contact with you. Also, my email address, 321 deep sleep hypnotherapy @gmail.com, or Keisha, which is spelled KISHA, at 321 deepsleep.com.
Okay, very good. Mick, did you have any final comments or questions for Keisha?
No, I think that's it.
Yeah, very good. Well, thank you very much, Keisha Reynolds, for being our guest. This is a very enlightening session. Appreciate it. And Dr. Michael Edelstein, clinical psychologist, author of 3 Minute Therapy. and the book 3 Minute Therapy, and my co-host Mick Berry. Thanks, Mick, for joining us. Thanks, Keisha, and thank you, Chris Rossini, our tech engineer. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up, suggest subjects for future uh, 3 Minute Therapy podcasts, volunteer if you'd like to be a guest, and subscribe to the 3 Minute Therapy podcast to do what, Mick?
To stay on the rational side of life and sleeping.